Hey there. Hey. Oh, to use that wonderful old Australian expression, I'm so happy I don't know whether to take a shit or have a haircut. Just finished a meeting with a client, and I'm here in Bangkok, in my salubrious apartment in Thong Lo, which I've always said is the Beverly Hills of Bangkok. And it kind of is, actually. I mean, let's face it, I exaggerate for a living, but Thong Lo is really cool. In fact, in many ways, it's a lot cooler than Beverly Hills. Sorry, Shelley. I know you won't like it, and Melanie. I know you won't like hearing me say that, but no, Thong Lo's fantastic. Anyway, let's get into the subject. So I went and saw this client, production house, major facilities. I mean, this guy's got heaps and heaps of stuff. He's got standalone studios, 30 minutes from the center of Bangkok. It's where you've got coffee shops, you've got streets, you've got all these studios that, you know, because it's getting too expensive now to just assemble something and then throw it away. So he's got these things that are good to go. He's getting in all kinds of sexy kit, the Bolt Arm, which is really good for doing sort of like uptight, super detailed macro stuff. He's got a tabletop studio, so thinking of one person in particular who's, if you ever needed a good excuse to go to Bangkok, good tabletop studio is where you can shoot. But anyway, we were talking about the business and the fact that, you know, it's contracting. Certainly Bangkok used to do a lot of regional stuff. Now all that regional stuff has moved out to Singapore. Strange enough, I mean, you know, when I worked here, Singapore made about 3 TV commercials a year, literally. And Thailand was always in Asia, without doubt, by a country mile, the top TV commercial production center, both in terms of volume and in terms of creative, in terms of level of creativity. I mean, it was like brilliant stuff, the work that was coming out of here. And I really do mean that. It was winning international awards here, there, and everywhere. And whilst Thai creative is still very powerful, everything seems to have dropped down. The regional work's being done out of Singapore, and now China slaps a 10% tax on any commercial that's done overseas. So a lot of companies are actually shooting their stuff for China, in China, and also other stuff as well. Because if it's a regional shoot, then, you know, they're obviously there's economic reasons of why you want to shoot everything at once. And we were talking about, you know, how you combat that. And of course, one of the ways that you can do that is through having a powerful personal brand. And I shared with him about sort of like how I've pivoted from sort of writing treatments for clients to now also helping them develop powerful personal brands. And I thought I'd share the story that sort of, I think, crystallized it for me. Is I was listening to Peter Thiel, who is the guy who founded PayPal. And I've got a huge man crush on Peter Thiel. He's such a cool guy. You know, all the press and stuff tends to go to Elon Musk, and Peter's not as glamorous or as sexy as Elon Musk. But in his own way, I mean, he's maybe even brighter. He's sort of like the quiet achiever. And you know, his main company now, Palantir, is like the Google you've never heard of. And I guarantee most of you haven't heard of Palantir, so look it up. He's become like the Blackwater for data. Anyway, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because in his book 0 to 1, Peter Thiel said, if you're setting up a great business, then think about what truth do you know that very few people agree with? What truth do you know that very few people will agree with you about? And I was like, what's that? And I thought, well, one thing I know for sure across time is that creative people are absolutely shit at doing creative for themselves. Creative people can't brand themselves. And that happens at the individual level, it happens at an agency level. Most agencies are atrocious at branding and always have been. And it also happens at the production house level. And as soon as I found myself talking about it, I could see the guy was all ears, like pupils were dilating. and I could feel the energy shift in the room. And it's really exciting because it's, now unfortunately when people are looking to make a decision about which director to hire, you're lucky if they watch your show reel on their computer, right, which is a small screen. Most often it's going to be on a phone and they won't even watch the whole thing. It's insane. I mean, how can you really judge about how good a filmmaker someone like that is? So now it's all the more than, all the more than anyone, all the more important than ever. People hire people. They don't hire companies, they hire people. And people hire people they like. And the thing is with a personal brand is like, I suppose one of the other truths that I really like is that different is better than better. I've really come to believe that. So I'm very excited about that because I've got a con call coming up in 3.5 hours for another client that I'm working with, doing some personal brand work with, and we're getting into a really exciting piece of content for her. And when the time is ripe, I will be looking forward to talking about that. If that's what we agree. It may be that she decides to want to keep it to herself, which is fine. I mean, after all, I am the ghost. I'm kind of like an old escort, a surreptitious service that no one ever talks about. See you later, my lovelies.